What's up YouTube, BizMathy here and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how I recently made $9,900 on a recent wholesale real estate deal. Now before we go on, be sure to like this video, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on post notification bell. Now before we go on, be sure to like this video, to smash that like button to help this channel grow and become more discoverable for people to learn more about wholesaling and real estate and entrepreneurship. And make sure you all comment down below if you have any questions about this deal or about wholesaling in general. So in today's video, I'm going to have a complete breakdown, a step-by-step tutorial on how I found this lead, how I was able to negotiate a price with the seller, how I was able to find a cash buyer or partner with another wholesaler in town, and how we were able to sell off this lead and bring it to closing. So number one, how did I find the seller? So after doing some research on different properties and different lists to target, I found out that there are investors that invest in fire damage properties. As long as the fire damage is not totally messed up, or if it is, if you're just offering land value and they're interested in just the land, that's something to consider. What I did was I decided to follow my fires department Facebook page on Facebook. And through that, I found a property back in December of 2019 that had a fire. Because sometimes they post different fires that happen around the community and they don't show the exact address. Sometimes they just have the street, but I was able just to look up the street and kind of look on Google Image to look at the type of house or a house that looked like that. And I found the house actually just using Google Maps. So yeah, that's just a tip for you all, a pro tip, to follow your fire department's Facebook page so you all can get free leads on fire damage properties. And so this deal was from a lead source that was completely free. And so once I found the property address, I looked up the property information on my county's website. I found the seller's name, it was a husband and a wife, and I messaged them both directly on Facebook Messenger. Now, I do have a video. I'll put a link above and down below in the description on me showing you exactly what I said to the seller to put them under contract and to get the deal done. And I bring you all directly into my Facebook Messenger so to show you all the exact words I used, the different tactics, and the different numbers associated with this property. With this property, it was a duplex before the fire, but because of the fire, it kind of it had to be rezoned into a single family because the electric was off for like over 100 days. And in this county, once that happens, then it automatically zones back to single family. But it was a duplex, and that's what was one of our selling points actually, because it could easily be turned back into a multifamily. So with this deal, it had a fire in one of the units, but because of the fire and because of circulation, firefighters had to cut holes into the other unit for air circulation and whatnot. So there was damage on the other unit, but not fire damage, so to say. And so I messaged them back in 2019, December 2019, and then the seller actually responded back in March of this year. So it took almost 3 months until the seller actually responded to me. And from there on, I was just messaging him. He first started talking about, hey, I'm looking to rehab the property. And I was like, okay, yeah, that might be something I may be interested in, but I don't know for sure. And of course, my angle was I just want to outright buy the property. So I just phrased it like, hey, I would be interested in rehabbing, but have you thought about, or what do you think about just selling the property as is in its current condition? I mean, you may end up just receiving the same amount because let's say we do rehab it together, we're splitting the profits, and let's say we even make like 60 grand. I mean, you're going to end up getting 30 grand. I'll end up getting 30 grand. I can just give you 30 grand now. So that was my selling point to, sell him or purchase the property, or, as a cash purchase, as a wholesale deal. And so we went through that text, just back and forth, and I got the property under contract. and I tried to sell it, but the price was a little bit too high for my investors, and I never dealt with a fire damaged property. And so I actually partnered with another wholesaler in town. And this was my very first JV deal. I never done one before, and contacted them. They let me know, yeah, this is a deal, but you would have to get it at this price. So I went back with the seller, got it at a better price, at a steeper discount. So just some numbers for you all. So the property all fixed up, it's probably worth up to like 180, almost 200 grand, I would say, because it was a duplex. It was an up and coming neighborhood. A lot of houses around that area were being renovated, rehab, and this was a duplex. And each side could probably run for, I mean, one side was bigger, so probably around $1,800 to $2,000 of gross rent for that property. So all fixed up, it was that's why I would say it was worth probably 180 to 200. So anyways, its current value, because of the fire damage, I would say was worth around 50 to 70 grand or whatnot. Around 50 grand, I would say. So what we did was we got the property under contract at $33,000, right? Because it was probably worth 50. So we got it at $33,000, and I'll tell you all later in this video what we assigned it for and how much we actually made a total sum amount of it, because the percentages of the JV deal varied. So anyways, we got the I got the property at a lower price with the wholesaler, and they were in charge of disposing the disposition side of the property, basically selling the property to a cash buyer. And so they got a buyer right away, actually, and we were able to close after that within 2 or 3 weeks. And we had a little setback because the wife had to be at closing and only the husband showed up and all that, and the ups and downs of it. But I learned a lot. And it was good working with these wholesalers because their list was so huge, and they were able to find a buyer just like that within 24 hours or less. So that was amazing. So let's just talk about the numbers. So the property all fixed up is worth 180 to 200,000. The ARV, or what we got it, not the ARV, but what we got the property under contract for was around $33,000, and we sold it to our investor for $49,500. So that's $16,500 of an assignment fee. But since this was a JV deal and I was the one bringing the deal to them, the split was actually 60-40. So 60 on my end, 40 on the other wholesaler end. And so I got 60% of that $16,500, which is $9,900. And there was a little confusion at first, because when I first got the check, I was like, wait, this is 50%. And so I contacted them. I was like, I signed the JV agreement, and it said on the agreement that was 60%. And so they quickly fixed it. They just wrote me a check for the difference. And so that's why I have actually 2 checks right here. So this one's for $8,250. And then this other one is for $1,650. So that's a total of $9,900. So almost 10 grand. And yeah, so that was a JV deal that I did for the first time, which worked tremendously on our end. And I never worked with a fire damaged property too. And so I actually have a video on my YouTube channel about me trying to wholesale this deal before I was able to get it under contract, before I was able to assign it or JV with someone, so to say. And I'll just share that, put a card up, I'll put that link down below. But it's just crazy that I was able to film that before actually closing on the property. So make sure you all watch that video. I'll try to put some video, some B-roll of the fire damaged house. But yeah, that was my first time wholesaling a fire damaged property and first time doing a JV deal. And so just some tips I want to leave you all with is always look at possibly JVing, because it's better to get some of a deal than none of a deal. And this was a good deal. I always recommend it's better to get no deal than a bad deal. But if it's a good deal, it's better to get some of it as opposed to none of it. And just make sure you communicate well with the other wholesaler. Make sure that they know you mean business, and that communication is key. Just talking back and forth with them, with different updates on the property, and check up with them too. Be like, okay, how's it going with the cash buyer, on the disposition side and whatnot. When you're JVing with someone, especially a bigger company, it's important that you add value. You can't just go, if you're a beginner, yes, it's good to JV, but if you're JVing with someone, it's good to add value to them. Like, they do more deals than I do. They're probably 6 figures a month. I'm more 6 figures a year. But I added value. I brought the contract to them. I'm not saying, oh, give me your deals and I can find buyers for you, because they have plenty of buyers. They don't have any trouble on that end. And so usually when you're JVing with a bigger company, you're usually on more of the acquisition side and they're on the dispo side, because they have a larger network of cash buyers. So I want to really recommend you all just to go out there, drive for dollars, use your different resources. You see how I just followed a Facebook page and I was able to get a free lead. Yes, it took months to close because this closed at the end of April and the first contact was in December. So that's why follow-up is key. And I should have sent more texts throughout the year, like in January and February, but I just sent that one text in December and they responded in March. And so I was like, hey, that's awesome. And all of our communication was basically done through Messenger, which is crazy. I did meet the seller at the property and I did talk to him around closing time over the phone. So those were the only, direct contact with the seller. Outside of the Messenger app that I communicated with the seller. And so in the next video, I'm going to break down exactly how we find the title company and the different and the confusions we had with the percentage of the wholesale assignment fee. You all will see that video, and it kind of made a regular picking up the check title company video a little bit different. It added a new value to you all, to saying, hey, there's some hiccups sometimes in this business. So once again, like this video, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll talk to you all later.